Hello. We live in a fortunate age. Maybe you think I mean the modern age. Actually, I mean Buddhism has taken root in the West. Until recently, qualified teachers of Mahayana Buddhism outside of Asia have been few and far between. We've had to travel to the Far East to find deep teachings in the subjects of compassion, emptiness, karma, and enlightenment. Today, it's an amazing gift that we can learn about the ancient teachings of the Buddha. You'll have the opportunity to gain some understanding of Buddhism and learn skills that you can use to make your life most meaningful. Despite our achievements with science and technology, we still don't know much about the mind and its potential. Yet in fact, 2,500 years ago, Shakyamuni Buddha realized the full potential of the mind. He understood that the mind is not just the brain. The mind is beginningless, and it creates our experiences of the world. Because what we perceive as reality is a function of the mind, not only do we have the power to completely eliminate disturbing emotions like anger, but we can consciously progress to the highest evolutionary state possible, Buddhahood. Every living being has the potential to reach this limitless state of wisdom and compassion. Buddhism teaches us that as we begin to understand the true nature of our mind, we become happier, more peaceful, better able to deal with problems, which makes us better able to help others. My marriage is great now. Maybe it's going to fall apart. Suffering of change.
Richard Gere was born in Philadelphia in 1949. One of the post-war baby boomers. At college in Massachusetts, he studied philosophy. He was part of a generation coming to terms with new freedoms and finding the same problems. What to do with their lives.
You know, I had my serious involvement with politics when I was in college and Vietnam, in those years when everyone was really committed. And then it all kind of fell apart for all of us. And again, I said, well, we're not going to be involved in this anymore. I had a kind of crisis that most people do in their early 20s, when just everything's not making sense. And this is the late 60s. There was a lot of literature that had become available then, whether it was Sufism, Dervish, Theravada Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, blah, 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 all this stuff was available. And I've spent late nights, all-night bookshops, reading books, one after the other, after the other, after the other. And it was Zen, actually, that attracted me originally. There was a cleanliness to the approach, kind of a Protestant approach to it, stylistically.
Buddhism stems from a man who lived 2,500 years ago in northern India, Siddhartha. Because it was believed that he gained insights into the essential nature of the human condition and taught them to others, he became known as the Enlightened One, the Buddha. And Zen is one of the many offshoots from these teachings. The practice of Zen Buddhism concentrates on disciplined meditation.
First step is starting to harness your mind, tame your mind. That was the last words of the Buddha that we've been told. Tame your mind. Not destroy your mind, tame it. And tame this unruliness. This is we're a very deep ocean. We live right on the surface where all the waves are. The deeper you go, obviously, the quieter it gets. And more radiant it gets. You know, it's just all there. Quiet, deep, empty, serene, complete, boundless. You know, those are the areas and they're not, those adjectives are, they're just adjectives that's symbolic, but they're not the thing. That's essentially the voyage. Now, to get from all this surface activity that we usually live in, you know, you've got to avoid a lot of icebergs, things, thoughts, impressions, habituations. We're so habituated to get past that and find other levels of consciousness, that it's not about habituation in the sense that we're habituated to the negativities that we all are. My own experience was when I started meditating is that it's not that my mind was moving faster, more thoughts were coming, or more negative things were coming. It's just that I was aware of them for the first time. So there was a lot of stuff that came up, and a lot of it unhappy, that, you know, there were tears, there was unhappiness that was coming up. A lot of stuff came up. That's part of it. It's really kind of showing up for who you are, or really seeing yourself. Ultimately, there's no place to hide anyhow. You are who you are. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks. Anyone thinks. The work you do on yourself is the important stuff.
In 1982, the event that would set the course for his off-screen life happened while Richard Gere was traveling in India. He met the Dalai Lama, the spiritual and temporal leader of...
Saying to me, don't you see the hallucination? Don't you see that even you, who are the magician in your work, making tears, making angry, making happy, making all these things, you think they're real. And it's the same with life.